when you think about how insurance companies use technology, it's evaluating whether or not this is crucially important to what they do as a business. And they're not technology companies. So the way I sort of thought about it was, where is there something that's profoundly important to a company, but yet not something that they should own the building and maintenance of it? And the analogy I landed on was Apple cheating on technology company. But when you buy an Apple product, like there's this famous like unboxing of Apple, and there's this experience around the boxing and the packaging and everything of Apple. But Apple doesn't manufacture their own boxes, right? It's central to the experience that they want to give to their customers. It's central to what they deliver as a product. But they know what their core strengths are, and they're not a boxing manufacturer, right? They find partners and they work closely with them to get exactly what they want. But it would be, an insurance company building their own technology would be like Apple running their own sort of box making factories in order to have their own box. Like, it's not their core strength, even though it's important to them, right? That was sort of the one I landed on.
Love it. No, indeed, it's a good message that play to your strengths, remember who you are. Again, I think, although it's been tempting, I think, for a few companies to consider themselves, we are not an insurance company anymore, we're not a broker anymore, we are a tech firm. You're probably not. When you look at the skills and shapes and setup of a lot of tech firms, it is very different to the way in which we've very logically structured our insurance and reinsurance operations. They're quite different beasts. Right. So I guess it's my turn.
Your turn.
To compete with analogies there. So Cordy, remember to give Jared a low score so that I've got a bit of a head start. The one I wanted to bring into play here was thinking a bit about infrastructure and thinking about, prior to technology or digital technology coming along, what was the key infrastructure for all these brokers, these underwriters, these buyers, etc. And typically that infrastructure actually took the form of buildings, as literally physical office buildings that were as close as possible to the people that they wanted to trade with. And I liken the software effectively to the modern building, right? So it's not nowadays necessarily about how close your building is to everybody else, is whether your software can talk to the people that you want to trade with itself, and how effective your software is at getting your deal placed or your deal underwritten, or whichever part in the chain you are. So I was laughing to myself at this analogy of imagining an insurance company looking at its colleague base and its staff base and saying, you know what, I don't feel like using one of the existing buildings in the city, so all you folks who are well-trained brokers or underwriters or whatever your role might be, you're going to very quickly upskill and learn how to build a skyscraper yourselves. So Dave, you're gonna do the foundations, are they called? Dig a big hole over there. Eleanor, could you pick up the?
She's doing the electrical wiring.
The electrical wiring, yeah. Exactly. I'm sure there's a wiring for dummies book you can use. Or we're only going to build this building once, but we're going to recruit 100 new people who are just going to focus on the build us a building project. You would never do this, right? You would never think that. You'd think, oh, at least I'm going to buy from somebody who's an expert. But ideally, you're going to go and rent some office space. Like a sensible human, you're going to work out where's good for you. You're going to agree a lease of some kind, and you're going to use that building, and it'll be great. Yeah. And they're responsible for taking care of it and making sure it's maintained. And you don't have to maintain a workforce of professional engineers, architects, builders, wiring people, all the things that go into a building that I have very little understanding of. But that for me was the sort of the thing that we saw happen after that point, kind of out of necessity, because there were no specific softwares to lease at this point. So all the insurers and brokers and reinsurers 20 years ago found themselves in the position of, oh, well, sorry, Dave and Eleanor, we know this isn't ideal and this is the last thing we want to do, but we're going to have to build it ourselves because Microsoft hasn't focused all of its attentions on building a insurance specific software for us.